everybody, and welcome to my Psychic Connection. Welcome to the show. I am human. I'll be your host today. My name is Bunny Sugars, and I'm so happy for you all to be joining me. So, this evening with I Am Human, because we're still learning the ropes here, it's a little bit different. This is more of a talk show based show. We will be interviewing guests, and at the end, during the 15-minute mark, there will be a question and answer segment for our viewers if you're watching through Facebook and YouTube as well. So the house rules for this show are kind of pretty straightforward, quite frankly. So we're going to have some conversations about the lives of psychics and what goes on, behind what we do. And what we're doing is essentially having a group discussion with other spiritual practitioners. Now, do note that we cannot answer anything health related. We're not doing like your typical psychic show. Feel free to ask questions related to our topic, though, because at the end of the 15-minute mark, we will certainly be answering some audience questions. Now, at the same time, thank you so much for joining me. I want to go ahead and kind of jump into it because we have a lot of questions. And today's guest, although Squirrel was supposed to be on, we had to do a little schedule switch. And today, my guest is going to be the lovely, the wonderful, the beautiful medium Destiny K.
Hey.
Hello, Destiny.
Hi, Bunny. How are you? You good?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Very well. And I'm looking forward to tonight as well. So excited.
Yes, I am too, honestly. Like it's really not often you get to just have a very straightforward interview with other spiritual practitioners. So I'm so super excited for us to kind of just jump into everything that we're doing here. So I would love for you to give a little bit of a self-introduction if you feel comfortable, if you would like to. So go ahead, introduce yourself to the audience.
So hi everyone, my name's Destiny K. I'm a psychic medium empath, intuitive international reader. I do lots of different readings, as you know. I do love readings, tarot readings, mediumship readings, which means I connect to your loved ones. I also connect to your loved ones in many different ways as well. So not just by, connecting with them through my mind, but I also see spirit, I feel spirit, and I also go to places as well. So there's lots of different ways how I do communicate with spirit as well. I will be also talking about that throughout the show as well. So let's enjoy the show tonight. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you, Bunny, for having me on your show. So thank you.
Oh my goodness, it's my pleasure. And I'm so excited because all of us intuitive folks, we have a little bit, everyone has a little bit of mediumship. I like to say that. Yeah. We all have just a little bit, but when you have it as your main gift, that is something I'm so excited to talk about because I feel like that's such a different experience from kind of what the rest of us go through. So if you're ready, we can go ahead and get started with some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this.
All right. So my first question to you is, at what age did you begin to realize or start understanding that you had the gift of mediumship?
Okay, so when I was 3 years old, I was picking up on sounds, noises, but I was also sensing things around me as well. So it was like I had an imaginary friend, but it wasn't. And I remember being in my grandmother's, and I was in the kitchen, and they were in the living room. And I run into the living room, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Nanny, blue pajamas, blue pajamas." Well, it turned out that my great-granddad, my great-grandfather, he passed away in his blue pajamas as well. So it was from then on forwards that I was picking up on vibrations of things as well. And I kept saying, "I'm seeing blue legs. I keep seeing blue legs." So that for me, my mum picked up on that straight away. She was like, well, there's no way that, Destiny would know that had happened. So yeah, so that was my first experience. But then I was also 5 years old as well when I was with my grandmother. Again, we was walking through the lane, and this lady, she stopped us in the lane, and it was really dark and it was raining and everything else that day. And she said, "I've had to stop you." And my nan was like, why is that? And she said, because your whole of your aura was like a golden color, and as you was moving through the lane, both of you, it was just getting brighter and brighter and brighter as well.
Mm.
And I was the age around about 5, I think I was, for that as well. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So would you say, or do you have an opinion about this particular topic here, like where children are much more sensitive to the spiritual world? Do
Oh,
you feel like,
yeah. So
mm-hmm,
with my question to that, my answer to that is that
mm-hmm,
we all have got this gift. Okay, so this is my belief and what I believe in. So I
mm-hmm,
believe that we originally started in heaven, and what I believe is that we had our minds completely like washed away from us. So what would happen is that when we come down to the earth plane, this is like where we learn. This is where we learn from our mistakes. This is where we learn from things, you know, that we need to do in order to take us to the next path and what our purpose is. You know, we have that all wiped from us. So when we have that wiped, it's like when we're here on the earth plane, that's us building our memory again to do exactly what we had already planned. You know, we agreed from the start to come down here for. I do believe that every single person does have psychic ability. Yes, they do. But what happens is, whether or not you choose to keep it open or not is completely up to yourself, because like you
mm-hmm,
say, everybody has free will as well. So that's where, you know, if you want to keep it open, you can, but sometimes you might want to close it down. And this is where I want to go with this, Bunny, as well, because when I was younger, from the age of like 3, when I saw my great grandfather, um I tried to like shut it down for a long period of time, but we'll talk about what happened later on as the years went on. But there was a lot of things that I was getting more and more signs and
mm-hmm.
things that I was really spiritually in tune as
I
well.
see.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I kind of hold the same belief in a way that you do, that we all start off with this gift and it's really up to you, sometimes environmental, if you're able to keep up with it, recognize it, accept it,
Yeah.
or sometimes you just get forced into accepting it. It just depends on the person you are. It
Yeah,
just depends on the
definitely.
season and the reason.
Yeah.
So, would you say that you had a lot of familial support during this time? It seems like your family was very aware from the start, kind of that something was
So in regards to my grandmother, she's passed
different.
away now, but we shared this extra special bond together. Like when she was alive, it's like we had this connection
Mhm,
together that was very spiritual. So she would understand me, so she wouldn't think I was going mad or crazy like everybody else. Like she understood me and she knew
mhm,
exactly what I was picking up on, and that's
mhm,
why she then tried to help me to not be so overwhelmed by it all, but to be able to
mhm.
understand it the best way I could in regards with being a child at that time. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, having that familial support is super important because those are like the pivotal years of your life. Those are very
Mm.
important times. And to go through something like this alone is
Yeah.
probably extremely terrifying for a lot of us. And
Yeah.
which is how a lot of us spiritual people end up kind of going down more negative routes, because how do you
Yeah.
cope? Who is there to help you cope?
Yeah.
So I think it's beautiful that your grandmother was there to help you go through these experiences and understanding your mediumship. Um, Now, in terms of experiences during this time period with you, over the course of your life, you know, do you recall experiences that brought you like more closer to spirit, like near death experiences or kind of like strange encounters that you can't understand or took you a while to get?
I have got so many. I mean, hopefully we've got enough time to do it on this show. But the
I
first
think
one that
we're
I
good
want
right now.
okay. So the first one that I want to explain about was the premonition that I had.
Mm,
So I was with this guy. His name was Jay, and he was at the fair in the other area to where I was, and he wanted me to go to the fair. Now, the people that lived where I lived, he wanted them to give me a lift over to where he was, rather than him driving all the way to me and picking me up. So anyway, there was him driving, as in my friend's ex-boyfriend driving, then there was my friend in the front, and then my two other friends were in the back, and then also you have like the middle seat, like known as like, you know, the lap belt seat. Now they wanted me, because I was the smallest, to sit in the middle. Okay. And I was about to go to the fair, and I put my hand on the door handle, and it was like as if someone grabbed my hand and threw my hand straight off of the door to say to me, you're not going. Okay. So from that moment on, I listened to my gut, and I was like, I'm sorry, Steve, I can't get in your car. I'm really sorry, but I've got a feeling that I'm not meant to get in your car. And he was like, yeah, but you know, Jason's going to not be happy that I'm not taking you over to the fair. I said, I really not interested. If he wants me to go to the fair, then he's going to have to drive over and pick me up. I am not getting in your car. Well, anyway, cutting a long story short, I didn't go. I didn't get in the car. They drove literally about 5 minutes down the road. The car lost control, and they hit like into like this bridge,
Oh,
into like the wall, and had an accident. Now,
oh my
if
goodness.
I would have been in the middle seat, the belt wasn't too good anyway. It was quite a dodgy belt. So I
Mm.
would have gone probably through the windscreen and not been here today.
Oh, wow.
So
That is,
that was definitely a sign to say. And when I say to you that I felt this force on my hand when I
mhm.
went to get in the car, it's like because I had this gut feeling and I ignored it, still went to get in the car, and then it was this like
Mm,
literally it felt like as if a force had grabbed my hand and pulled me back to
mm.
say, you're not going in the car. That
Oh,
is a sign to say that, you
mm,
know, we don't want you getting in that car. And I realized that that was definitely a sign.
mm.
And then I said to my mum, like, you know, I'm not going. She was like, I thought you was going. And I said, no. I said, I don't know what it was. I said, but I felt this like force on my hand, and it's telling me not to go. And then, like I said, they got like 5-10 minutes down the road, and then there was an accident. So,
Oh,
but
I'm,
luckily everyone was okay. They just had like cuts and bruises
mm,
and things like that. But
that's good.
yeah, so,
Oh my goodness.
but
See,
yeah, so that's the first one.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
why listening to your intuition is extremely important. When something
Mm,
doesn't feel right, do not do it.
mm.
Like, that is something even regular folks who are not super in tune with themselves can take away from that, because that is a very terrifying experience.
Yeah,
And if you don't listen to your gut like that, it's kind of like you can put yourself in harm's way. Sometimes you know what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do,
yeah,
and you have to just let spirit guide you. And if it don't feel right, don't do it. I'm so glad you didn't get into that car, because that sounds
yeah. I
horrible.
mean, I always say to everybody as well, always trust your gut.
Mm,
Whatever it is that you're going through at that time, in that moment, listen to it, whether it's good or bad, because your gut will never lie to you.
mm,
It's an instinct. It's something that you need to listen to.
mm.
And
No,
I very nearly didn't listen to my gut.
I'm so glad you did,
I
because
know.
we may not have Destiny K here today.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's horrible. But
Yeah.
do you have premonitions like that very often? Is
I
it like daily?
Yeah, so it's not daily, but
Mhm,
I have had a huge, big, and I mean huge, premonition.
mhm.
So if you're okay with me to share this, I'll share
Oh,
this.
please, the floor is yours.
But
Totally.
it is big. So I was with this guy, and he was in Australia. I was in England, and if you guys remember MSN, so you had MSN, you used to talk to each other on the webcam and stuff. So I was at my friend's house, and I was really happy because I was speaking to him and everything was great. All of a sudden, I had this horrible feeling of like sadness, that I literally felt like I wanted to sob. I felt like my heart was just torn into a million trillion zillion pieces. Then I went into a trance. Now, at this time, I didn't actually know that I'd gone into a trance. I just knew that I just zoned off somewhere. And I remember that there was all these people around me. Now, I didn't know these people. I didn't know who these people were, but they kept coming up to me. Now, when I saw them, with what I was seeing in like my vision, they had like all cuts on them, and you know, like marks on their face. Like I remember like black marks on their face, and they said to me, "Don't go." Now I was getting confused because I didn't know what they meant, as in don't go, as in don't go back in that direction, or don't go anywhere, like, and just stay where I am. And then they all like surrounded me in a circle, and there was all these different voices. Well, I was trying to work out what voice that I needed to follow where I was, because I didn't know where I was. I just remember being in this very dark place and everyone rushing around, but coming towards me rather than away from me. And I found it very like overwhelming. Well, cutting a long story short, me and my friend, we were meant to be going to London the next day. And I came at this trance about 15, 20 minutes after she told me it was. And all of a sudden she was like, you know, Destiny, I've been trying to wake you up for ages. And she said, are you okay? I said, no, I'm not okay. I said, something really bad's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what it is, but it's going to shock the world. That was my exact words and what I said. So I didn't end up staying at my friend's house, and she lived across the road from myself. So I went home, and it was like silly o'clock in the morning, you know, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I tried to get the key in the door, but my parents had the key the other side, so I couldn't get in. So my mum came downstairs to knock, because I was knocking on the door, to let me in. And she was like, why are you coming home? I thought you was going to London tomorrow. I said, no, I'm not going to London. I said, something really bad's going to happen tomorrow. I said, I don't know what it is, and it's going to shock everyone. So my mum thought I was absolutely mad and crazy and absolutely bonkers, and told me to go to bed, and I just was overtired and I needed to rest. Well, anyway, the next day came. My mum came running up to my bedroom, literally shaking me to wake me up, and said, go downstairs now and put the telly on. I put the telly on, and as I sit here right now, I promise you now, it was London bombings on the TV. And it absolutely, well, I burst into tears, because I was like, in a sense, I was happy that obviously I didn't go, because that could have been me and my friend. But also at the same time, I was quite angry at myself, because I had had a premonition, which I didn't know what it was at the time, but I couldn't tell anybody that this was going to happen, because it happened so fast.
Right.
Do you see what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So, and I think I was overwhelmed, and I was trying to understand and trying to establish what actually happened to me, and why I went into what I call a trance as well, and why these people was around me. This is what I was still trying to work out, even when I got home to my parents' house. You know, I was sitting there still trying to understand why this was happening and what was going on with that. So but yeah, it was a very upsetting time for everybody, and like I said, it shocked the world. So yeah,
I can totally understand how jarring that is. And I have to say, I hope that now you haven't blamed yourself or continued to blame yourself. If you don't know that this is a premonition, and even though we hope as spiritualists, as psychics, as mediums, as tarot readers, we really hope sometimes that it's like we want to save the world. Sometimes we want to save everybody. Usually we don't care about ourselves, but usually we want to save everybody else. And I think the worst pain for us to go through is when we realize that we cannot save everybody else. Sometimes we have to just save ourselves, or sometimes we don't even know how to communicate this to people, because no one would really be like, what? If you went and told someone about this premonition, they'd be like, really?
I know. Like, that's what I mean. I was thinking that everyone thought I was mad and crazy, and I was going out of my mind. Yeah, honestly. Yeah, it was something that I never thought that I would be able to experience in regards with that, you know. And it was very like overwhelming in a sense, because it was a lot of energies that I did not know, and these energies were very panicky, they were worrying. But when I said, when I was in that trance, I just remember they said to me, don't go. That was it. Don't go, like, don't go. And I'm thinking, don't go this way, or stay where I am, or don't go to London. And then it was again. So that was what I was told through the trance, that it was to not go to London. So, but I just knew it was something that was going to shock. And then it was me that said, I'm not going to London. So again, that was my intuition, I suppose, at the time, which I didn't even realize I was doing, because I was quite young, you know, and it was, so.
Yeah. I can understand, especially being so young. It's probably just like, I don't know what's happening, but here we are. And that's kind
Yeah.
of how we have to roll through life as spiritual
Yeah.
people. So, in general, when you receive this information through premonitions, like now in your later, as you're older, what do you do with this information? How do you get it across? How do you process it? What do you think you're able to do when you get a premonition? Maybe not as big, but just in general. Like,
So again, when I have like some sort of like feeling or instinct about something, I like have a flashback to the things that I've been through like previously, to be like, Destiny, you really do need to listen to your intuition. You need to listen to your gut instinct, because everything that you have been through, it's like you have missed, death there, in a sense. You have missed things that were here to, in a sense, to happen to you, but you had that chance to not go through that. Does that make sense in what I'm saying there, Bunny? Does that make sense to you?
yes, it does actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you only can do so much. So you have to kind of
Yeah.
just do what you can in the moment.
Yeah.
I think this is something that I also struggle with as well. I don't have premonitions in that regard. I've had very small time one, like someone calling my grandmother, and she's like, no one's called me yet. And then boom, 10 minutes later, someone called, and it was that exact person. But
Yeah.
it's like, even in that regard, it's kind of, what can you do? There's really nothing you can do. You have
No.
to sit and just let things play out as it is. And that is extremely difficult. Do you find that to also be challenging?
Yeah. So there was another time, and again, sorry, this is I was here in England and they was
Mhm,
in Australia, and
mhm,
I had come out of a dream, and all of a sudden I just grabbed my phone and I had to call them. Now in Australia, as you know, there's a time difference there between 7 and 8 hours of them
mhm,
ahead of England. So it was like, I think like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning our time, and about midday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like sort of like their time, sort of thing.
mhm,
And something told me that I had to just call them. Like, it was my partner at the time,
mhm,
and it was like I called them up, and he was like, "Hello, are you okay?" I said, "I'm okay. Are you okay?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." I said, "No, you're not. Stop." Like that. And I just like said, and I said, "Stop," like, but
mhm,
really loudly. And I just heard like a like a sigh of relief, in a sense. And he goes to me, "I'm okay." And I said, "Are you sure?" He went, "Yeah, I'm fine." He goes, "I think you've just had like a nightmare or a dream or something, but that's okay. I'm just on my way to work. I was running late, and I was just messaging the boss, obviously, that I was on my way." So that's how we left it. Okay. So anyway, when I went over to Australia to see them, he said to me, "Do you remember that day that you called me up that night when it was your nighttime and my daytime?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "When you called me and you worried and told me to stop and stand still?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, it's a good job you did, because I nearly got hit by a truck. It missed me by this much." And
that is intense, very
that
intense.
was um, when he told me that. And that's when he said to me,
Mm,
he goes, "You kind of freaked me out." He said, not in a nasty, he said, "You've got like the sixth sense." And that's what he kept calling me for a long time. He was like, "Oh, you're like the sixth sense," like, because obviously I was in England and he was in Australia, and that is like the other side of the world.
mm,
But again, I had this instinct, I had this to call him. And when I said like, "Stop," like, and really enhanced that, and he said he wasn't looking at the time because he was messaging his boss because he was running late, and he said he
mhm,
was looking down at his phone. So if I hadn't have called him and told him to stop, he would have been hit by
mm.
the truck. So
That's really crazy because in a way I've
it's
kind of just,
quite like overwhelming, and it's just, I
yeah.
sit here and I think to myself, that is crazy that I can do it. And the next
Mhm,
thing I was also going to say to you as well, because I get this a lot, and the
mhm,
question I'm asked is, how do you do it? And
mm,
I cannot answer that, because I don't know how I do it. I just know that I have this gift, I
yeah.
have this ability, and I can do it, but I don't know how I do it. And it's like, again, and I said this before in another interview when I
Mhm,
got interviewed, they said, have I had like lessons? Have I done courses and things like this, you know, on spirituality? And I have not. I have not had any lessons. I've not done courses. I've not done anything. I've purely and solely, in a sense, taught myself by me connecting with my spirit guide, who helps me and gives me, you know, the signs, the synchronicities, and the things that I need to adhere to, the things that I need to listen to. And that is purely and solely how I've done it. And I know that a lot of people use like spiritual terms, and I love that they do use spiritual terms. But with myself, you know, I haven't had that learning and, you know, the courses and all of this. So for me, how when I explain things about spirituality is like in my own little way. Does that make sense? And it's kind of like, in a sense, a bit unique as well, I feel. So yeah.
I can understand that. And honestly, this is really important because it does draw some like kind of spiritual dots in my own head. I talk to a lot of my clients about how free will can literally impact
Yeah.
everything we do. And so your friend in Australia, he could have not listened. He could have kept walking while you
Yeah.
called him. But
Yeah.
in that moment, he made the choice to stop, and his free will to stop, even though you were telling him directly, hey, don't go any further. He didn't
Yeah.
have to. But that free will that he exerted in that moment saved his life.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, how to say it. People get very uptight when we talk about free will. I'm sure you've had clients who get really upset when we talk about
Yeah.
free will, but that free will right there in that story showed you how important, how life-changing it can be.
Yeah.
Literally, your life can change in a split second. It doesn't take that much. And that one decision to stop ultimately changed the entire course of his life. So that free will is very important. And when you use it in combination with our spiritual gifts, you can save yourself a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of turmoil sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But like, I also want to know from your personal point of view, do you ever get scared when you have these premonitions? Is it now a terrifying thing, or is it something you just are okay with?
Yeah. So this is again another thing as well. And I can't explain it, but I'm going to try to explain it the best I can. I kind of like get a warning now that there's going to be, that something's going to happen, whether it's good or bad. But knocking on wood, it's been like a lot of positive things recently. So again, it's like, you know, like in a sense, like a deja vu moment, you know, like you feel like it's happened before, and you feel like you've lived that situation or that experience. So for me, it's like I get like little triggers and warnings when something's going to occur and happen now. And it's like I can semi prepare myself for something. So for an example, if it's a situation or something that is say an argument, like I know that there's going to be an argument, so I will try to diffuse a situation. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
I seem to be like more aware of my surroundings, and I seem to be more aware of what's happening, you know. Like for an example as well, I was out with a friend of mine in a place called St. Albans, and I just could sense that there was going to be a huge big kickoff in one of these bars, and it hadn't even done it yet for like 10-15 minutes, and it was about to, and I could just sense that it was about to go down. And I actually went and spoke to the person that was about to do the whole thing basically, and I said, I know what you're about to do, but I feel that if you actually thought about this, then you're going to see the consequences after, and you're not going to like what has happened after. And I actually went and spoke to them, and again, so I diffused, and he was like, how did you know that it was me that was going to start the thing? And I said, I just knew, like I just knew, like,
You just knew.
yeah, I just knew. Yeah.
But wait, well, did he start the fight? Did it
No.
Oh,
So
good.
that's what I mean. So I went over and I said that I can see what you're about to do, And
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that's a good idea, because after that happens, you're not going to like what happens, like the consequences of after what's happened. And he actually really respected me. And
Oh.
he said to me, I like how you've come up to me, and, you know, you've expressed, you know, what you're picking up on vibrations and things. And to be honest with you, I feel he was spiritually in tune as well, but I feel that he was just around the wrong crowd and following the wrong, you know what I mean, like the wrong energies. And so with that, I diffused the situation, and I was really happy that I did that.
I'm happy you are too. We're kind of like, it's kind of like being psychic crime stoppers. Stop it before it starts. This is what I mean
Yeah,
by sometimes we want to save the world, but we can't always. But sometimes we
yeah,
can do a little bit of good.
yeah.
I kind of love that though. But
Mm,
in terms of your premonitions and your mediumship in general,
mm.
how do you feel your gifts have like impacted familial and friendship relationships? Has it strengthened them? Are they a bit more complicated than you expected them to be with these gifts? Like, what is your perspective?
So in regards with that,
Mm-hmm.
so I become more heightened with my gift of mediumship when I have my near-death experience, which I know that we're probably going to talk about that a little bit further on in the show. But with the whole part of being a medium, I mean, I saw spirit from the age of 3 years old, but for a long period of time, it's like I shut it down because there was other things that I had to go through first. But you're saying in regards of like friends and family, how do they feel about it? Some of them like understand me now, because I've actually shown them things to show them that I'm not mad, I'm not crazy. But at first they thought I was. And obviously I've confirmed a lot of things. Again, I've read thousands of people around the world, and given mediumship readings, and to a point where I've been in, for an example, like in their kitchens, and I've described like their whole kitchen and details of like cutlery. So you know what I mean? It's one of them. So I've got a lot of friends that do respect me on that sense, but they're very like spiritual themselves. But then the other ones, they know that I do it, but they're just not they're not into that, but they're still my friend, but they just don't like me talking about like things like that around them, because they say I'm very powerful. So
You are like you are a very good medium. Like you
thank
scare
you.
me sometimes because I can, especially during your shows, I'm just like, oh my goodness. The way you dig deep is very interesting, especially in regards to your mediumship. I
Mm.
also would love to kind of know, how have these abilities, how have they affected you mentally or physically over the years? Has it been more challenging? Have you noticed more physical changes or mental changes? How have these gifts
Yeah.
impacted you?
So with in regards to my near death experience that I had in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I become really heightened with
Mm-hmm.
spirit. And it was like I'd always had the gift ever since I was young, but
Mm-hmm.
I went through quite a lot of traumatic things in my life that I started to close them down and, you know, switch off. In a sense, I was trying to close it down, but then there was something, you know, that hit home, and it was like, come on, Destiny, you really need to wake up now. This is your purpose. This is what you're meant to be doing. Like, this is your destiny in a sense. And it was from then on forwards, when I had that near death experience, that I realized I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
And like, death doesn't scare me. Now, a lot of people, and I can imagine that you have the same questions as well, that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, death can scare a lot of people. And I get it completely. Yes, I do. But when you've been in that situation, when you've had like a near death experience,
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you, it is a beautiful place. And it's so vibrant and amazing. It is just like a completely different world. And
Mm-hmm.
then you like come back to reality, and it's like, why did you wake me up? Why did you like just I can't explain it. Like, you just feel just absolutely, it's beautiful. It is very you know, the best words that I can describe is like vibrant, and everything just seems lighter. Like you don't
Mm,
feel like you've got no stress, you've got no worry, you've got no like feelings, like you've got no emotions, you've got
mm,
nothing there to weigh you down. Does that make sense? And then it's like, boom, you come back, and it's like, you know that you're here, and this is where we learn, this is where we grow, you know. But the only way we're going to learn is by making mistakes. And if we don't make those mistakes, we're never going to learn. So we're never going to change. So this is why I always say that we're going to follow the same patterns, the same routines, the same cycles. So this here is where we're meant to learn.
mm,
That's what I believe anyway. So
mm.
yeah.
That's really, honestly, very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm scared of death. I know I probably got to come back here and do this foolishness again. I know that much. Like, I know I'm not done here. I got to come back and do this foolishness over
So
again.
that's
I'm more
another
afraid
thing.
of how. I would like to be asleep and not present.
That's so the thing is, you know,
Mhm.
and as I said before in the beginning of the show, that we know what we're doing because
Mhm.
we've already signed them contracts, but we
Yeah.
have that completely removed from our memory.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So when we come down here on the earth plane, it's like we had already contracted to do this, and this.
Yes.
And so in a sense, when you have like a near-death experience, that's when you completely wake up, smell the
Mm.
coffee, have the realization, and you sit there and be like, now I know my purpose.
Mm.
Now I know what I'm meant to be doing. And personally, I mean, it's not everybody, but this is what I feel and I believe. I believe that you have to go through something quite traumatic in your life. You know, it doesn't have to be a near-death experience. You know, it could be a breakup in a relationship, it could be losing somebody, you know, it could be absolutely anything in regards with being like quite like traumatic for you. But if you do go through some sort of trauma, I strongly do believe that that is what definitely wakens you up, you know, and heightens you with your spirituality even more. That's what I believe. So
I think we can kind of agree on that one. It's a process to accept.
yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, what exactly was this near death experience that you had that made you open your eyes to that reality for you?
Okay, so I'd had like a lot of pressure, been through a lot of stress and things like that. And what I had actually done was brush my own stuff under the carpet, and I was focusing more on everything else, making sure that everything was okay. And then what happened was then my heart stopped. And then I found out that I've actually got a rare heart condition. But again, there was lots of things that I used to do when I was younger in regards with I was very active. You know, I was a dancer, I did modeling, I worked abroad, you know, and all of these things, that who would have thought that I'd have had a rare heart condition, because I was never told this as, you know, a child, a baby, a child or anything, and found this out later on. And it took that my heart had to stop in order for me to find out that I have a rare heart condition. So yeah.
Mm, I see. That's, oh my goodness. I'm so glad you've been able to really push through from that. And it's also very interesting to me because a lot of us spiritual folk, we seem to be just in like horrible health in some degree.
Mm,
I am
mm,
also someone who suffers with a lot of chronic pain and chronic health conditions like Behçet's
yeah.
disease. And it is weird because I've noticed we all kind of have that similar sort of
And
vibe.
do you also find as well, because I also have pot syndrome as well, which is a blood pressure condition, which also, again,
Mhm,
because there's not enough blood that pumps hard and fast to give me the oxygen to my brain. So
mhm.
then it puts pressure also on my heart
Oh,
as well, which causes the muscle to be enlarged, which
mhm,
then it's more strenuous to get all of the blood to pump around my body to get the oxygen to my brain.
mhm,
So in regards with this, again, that is interlinked with the heart condition. So I just wanted to know, and I know obviously we're not meant to be talking about health and things like that,
right,
but that's obviously how I become heightened, was
mhm,
through my with my heart condition and my blood pressure condition. But in regards with what you're saying about yours, I
mhm.
wanted to know if there was other things that were linked in to that as well. Do you see what I mean with that?
Ah, I honestly think possibly. It's something that I haven't fully explored a lot
Okay.
mentally. I think
Mm.
I think because of the way my own diagnoses happened, it was
Mm.
probably a lot of external pressure that I was not aware that I could like have put
Okay.
on me. And so thinking about other things that have happened in regards or the connecting, I think there is a strong connection, especially between my health and my spirituality,
Yeah.
because I didn't have a near death experience, but I ended up personally losing faith in my entire existence. I basically went into an extremely deep depression and lost essentially what is my will to have dreams, connections, feelings. And I had to start from the ground up in my 20s to build back into somebody.
Yeah.
So that was able to help heighten my spirituality as it is
Yeah.
now, because honestly, I didn't start doing what I do now until
You'd had
quite
that.
frankly later on in my life, like my later 20s.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you had that experience, you had that traumatic time that you
Yeah.
had to go through to heighten you, and that's what I was saying. So that definitely does link to with what I'm saying as well. So we're on
Yeah.
the same page, so that's all good.
Like we're partners in arms at this on this one, because it seems like those questionable health issues, those experiences do
Yeah,
bring us into a place spiritually, and you just have to learn to accept what you
that's
are,
it.
who you are, and
Yeah,
how you are.
yeah.
Like, and it's by force. It's like
Yeah,
this was not on the plan, but here we are.
I know.
So,
Oh.
in terms of kind of your mediumship, how do you feel that all of this, all these
Mhm.
things encompassed have shaped you today? Like, you are clearly wise beyond your years. You are able to identify what exactly, how exactly, like the how, the who, the what, the where, the when, the how. How do you feel like this is a blessing in a way and also a curse in a way? So, how do you
Yeah.
conceptualize everything that has happened to you?
So, I mean, I have had on a live, like I've done many lives and things like that. And what I love about what I do is I don't know what I'm going to get in regards with that reading. Does that make sense? So when I do a mediumship reading, it's like I always listen to my spirit guide and what my spirit guide wants me to do. So for an example, I've done a live before, and normally I go to people that I feel drawn to. And then there was a time where my spirit guide kept pointing me at this one specific person and kept like, no, you've got to read this person now, 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 now. But before I'd even come on the show, on the live, I was actually getting vibrations before I'd even gone on the show. So again, that was telling me that with this mediumship that I had to give, this was a message that needed to be passed over, because I had to give it. Does that make sense? But with
Mhm.
what you're saying about the question of like my mediumship and things like that, sometimes it can be very overwhelming. I have actually cried on one of my shows with my psychic connection as well, and I have actually sobbed my heart out as well. So, in regards with like doing readings from spirit, you don't know what sort of energy you're going to get until you're in that until you're in that reading. Does that make sense? Until you're in that energy.
Mhm.
So, it can be either, very, very zapping. You could get an energy that really does zap your energy, a spirit that can really zap your energies. You can get one that will overwhelm you. You can get ones that, I love this, that they piggyback off one another as well. So, like, and you get the ones as well that's like, well, you're the medium, so I'm gonna like really try and like mess you up now and play tricks on you, and you get them ones as well, and I think they're cool because they're just really funny. And then you get ones obviously that have like taken their own life or
Mm.
things like that, and that can be quite distressful because in a sense, like, I mean, I want to go more in depth with this in regards with like the mediumship part here. So it's like they are not fully transitioned over in a
Mhm.
sense. So like they are in limbo. So it's like they are half here still on the earth plane, and they are half in spirit, but
Mm.
they're not quite balanced out yet where they want to go. And
Okay.
I have actually done this, and I really impressed myself, and I did it. And I didn't think I was going to be able to do it because I had never experienced this before. And I had this lady, she came to me and she said to me, obviously it was a suicide, and it was a really upsetting time. And the person came to me, and I was then doing automatic writing, and I'd never done that before. And I wrote, like, his mum a letter to her from him, and he was like, by my side. And again, he was like in limbo, and I actually crossed him over into spirit, and I'd never done that before, and that really blew my mind. So I made sure that he transitioned okay over. And again, I never done that before, and my spirit guide was like, well, you've got to cross someone over now. And I was like, well, how on earth am I meant to do that? and I did it, and it blew me away. But it was wow.
I feel like, honestly, Destiny, with time, you are going to be a mind-blowing, you already are a mind-blowing medium, first and foremost. Let me say that. But I feel like with time, all that's going to happen is you are going to bloom. And I cannot wait to see you at like 70 years old. Because you're probably going to blow my socks off even more than you already have. And Destiny, I want to thank you so much for coming on and giving me the time to interview you. This has been so enlightening, and it's been amazing too.
It's been lovely, and I've got chills as well, literally.
I do too. You can probably tell because I'm like. But now we've kind of hit the mark. So would you like to take some questions from our audience? I would love to see what they have to say.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Awesome. So our first comment is from Rebecca. She says, wow, all over body chills with the hand story in the car. Yeah, that one got me too.
Yeah.
That was a lot. Brolick, he says, one issue is learning how not to overthink it. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's rough. Because I think me and you, Destiny, we are chronic overthinkers.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we both are. I could feel that when I first met you some months ago. I'm like, we have similar energy here. We overthink, and it's very hard. So Sophia, she says, where does that gut feeling come from? Is it our guide / spirit? Destiny, you want to take the wheel on that one?
Okay, yeah. So Sophia, what it is, my lovely, that you do actually get a gut feeling. You get like a pit in your stomach, and that there is giving you that warning, that sign. But at the same time, if you don't take and listen to that, that gut instinct of what you get, then you could then experience, okay, right now, see, I've got ringing in my ears. So you could either get like ringing in your ears. So my first experience for my gut instinct was the car situation, of when I literally felt as if a hand had came and a force had came over the top of me and pulled me away. So if you get a gut instinct or a gut, feeling about something, it is from your spirit guides, it's from, spirit, it's from somebody who really does want to help you and guide you to prevent you from something either happening, or they want it to happen, like something good in regards to that. So thank you.
I like that question. That was a good question.
And I didn't get the bell.
I know. Wasn't it different here?
There's different no here. There's no bell.
Look, Journey's going to find the bell.
I know he's going to find the bell, isn't he?
I'm waiting for it now.
I just got the bell.
I knew it was only a matter of time before something like that happened, but look, we did it. Oh my goodness. I actually really like that question. That was a good question.
Yeah.
Great. Like, it's a little complicated though, because that gut feeling, it can also be, you know what? I want your perspective on this, Destiny.
Okay.
Do you feel that our past life connections impact our gut feeling from spirit?
So earlier I was gonna go into like past lives and things like that, but I kind of held back off that because I didn't want to like rear off the subject that what we on. Absolutely. So like when I was saying to you, and you were saying that I feel like you've got more times to be on this earth plane yet, you know, obviously when it's your time to go for you to return. So again, it's like we have all had past lives. We have been to different dimensions, to different places, you know, to different decades in our life. And what it is with this, it's like whatever we've been through in our lives. And I don't always believe that we have all still been who we are. So I don't feel that I was always you know, a female in a past life. I do believe that I was, you know, a male in a few of my past lives, because I do carry a lot of masculine energies as well. But again, a lot of us, all of us, in fact, we do have, you know, feminine and masculine energies as well. But I do believe and feel that this definitely comes from being in different time zones, different dimensions, and obviously different past lives as well. And I do feel that it does interact with what we go through in this lifetime as well, in regards with what you're saying, with our journeys, our lessons and things as well. So yeah.
Oh, see, I always knew there was a correlation somewhere in
Yeah.
there. We're connecting dots. I'm really good with thoughts. Rebecca says, "Oh my God, Destiny, it all makes sense now why the near-death car experience wakes up your senses." Yes. Or the
Yes.
near-death experience wakes up your senses. Yes, yes, it does.
Yeah.
And Luke says, hey, Luke.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. Miss Collins, our beautiful psychic K, she asks, how has helping others through mediumship changed your life?
I
Ooh,
love that.
yes.
Okay. So Kay, it has had a massive impact in a sense of when I do like mediumship readings, and you know, I get like a client or somebody come to me and they're having like a bad day, or they're really upset and they're down in the dumps. And then when I can then like give them a reading, and it's like changed their whole like world around, or their day around, and it's like they'll be smiling like a Cheshire cat from ear to ear. So that for me is like a job well done. And the best way to say that is, if I can turn someone's day around from feeling very down in the dumps to brightening up their day, again, that for me is a job well done. And I feel very happy and honored to be able to do that as well. So when it comes to your question with how has mediumship changed my life, I feel like it's definitely changed my life for the better, because I'm also able to connect and bring people's loved ones to them, you know, to give them not only like comfort, you know, messages in the sense of letting them know they're around, but a lot of people also want closure as well. And that is a main key thing here, that, you know, a lot of people want to have some sort of understanding. So when they have that closure from spirit, then they can then in a sense like move forward with their life as well. So in regards with your question about being a medium and how it's changed my life, I feel like it has changed my life for the better, because I'm able of helping so many people that are in need help and support and love.
I love that. We want to save the world, but we can't always save the world, but we try. Kelly says, when your guides are speaking to you, how are you hearing it? Like a person whispering in your ear. Ooh, you start first, because I like that
I
one.
love this. Okay, so when I am connecting with my spirit guides, it varies, if I'm honest. Sometimes I will actually see my spirit guide in front of me, and then other times I will hear my spirit guide in my mind, or other times I can actually have and hear like how I'm speaking right now in regards with like a conversation right now, but in my ear. So sometimes it's in my mind, sometimes it's in my ear, and sometimes it's actual visual to me as well, actually standing in front of me and connecting with me that way. So that is amazing as well. And thank you so much for your question.
Oh, that was so good. For me, sometimes it's mostly just like internal thought that is not mine. It is like intrusive thoughts that don't belong to me. Sometimes Sometimes my guides are just physical. There's one time I was doing a tarot reading for a friend, and I think I needed to hear the advice myself. And I was sitting above a painting I had made, and the painting came off the wall, smacked me dead in my forehead. And I was like, wow, that's kind of messed up, y'all.
Wow.
My team is rough, but I do know my team members are my grandfather, my dad's mom. I'm sorry, my mom's dad, and my grandmother on my dad's mom. So they're going to be a little rough with me, and that's fine.
Oh, let's see.
Sophia asks, or she says, I was a white witch in my past life, so I was told, and suffered a trauma. So it makes sense why I have / had so much trauma in this life to make peace with it. Oh, yes.
And as you said that, we froze, and that, Sophia, take that as a sign. You definitely was a white witch. And I do feel that sometimes, you know, that we have like flashbacks of this, like either through our dreams, you know, like vivid dreams, you know, but even like in our visions, in our mind's eye as well. And also as well, like if you look at your hands as well, your hands tell a lot about your life. And you know, there's specific marks there on your hands that will also tell you in regards with that as well. And I just feel like you get this vibration anyway, that if you get a vibration, and I'm just going to say this now, and this is something that I feel like I want to kind of like end with on my part of this show. It's been amazing. And Bunny, I think you're lovely, so thank you. What I want to say with this, like, I feel like if you feel something of yourself that, you know, that you feel like you've been to this place before, or you've seen this, or for an example, like if, you know, if you went to, for an example, like London, and you went in London and you looked at a particular building and it was like, oh, I've been here before. And I strongly do believe that you have generally been there before, like in a past life. So what I'm trying to say here for this right now is never, you know, deter away from something that you're thinking. Never deter away from something that you vision or see or have a goal, or you have that feeling that you've been there before. Because like I said, your gut never lies. And if you have a feeling about something, 99.9% of the time, well, I feel 1,000% of the time, is what it is. It's real and true.
It is real. It doesn't feel real, but it is. And you
Yeah.
just have to just take it as it is, because that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kelly asks, have you ever been regressed to check out some of your previous lives? Oh, I mean, I have not regressed. I've had dreams.
It's on like a past life progression.
Yeah, kind of like a hypnotist sort of situation.
Yeah, okay. So that is something that I am definitely thinking about doing. But in regards with obviously being hypnotized and things like that, I have to also be careful with my blood pressure and everything else as well. So it's like, definitely, I really do want to do it, but at the same time, I also have to think about my my blood pressure as well. So
Journey says, Journey will do your destiny.
oh.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm excited to hear about it. Shoot.
Yes.
Look, that's amazing.
Thank
It
you.
can be scary to think about that, though.
That would be amazing. Like, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I have actually, and I know we haven't got time now. We'll have to do another show, because
yes, we will.
There's so much more that I need to tell you in regards to like past lives and things as well that I've experienced as well. Like,
yes, we're definitely gonna have a second show. Like, just wait. We're gonna continue this rotation, but
watch this space.
Oh my goodness, Destiny, it has been so fun doing this interview. I feel so enlightened. I hope our audience does as well. I want to give another big thank you so much to doing this interview with me. It was so good. It was
you're
so
very welcome.
Good. And
thank
everybody,
you.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we've hit our time, but just to let you know, this show is not over, because at about 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Kay, the Intuitive Empath, give it her good all good as I learned that I cannot talk today, but she's going to give you a bang up show because tonight is her show. And then at midnight Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Journey Ryan live, doing Journey Ryan live things. And that's always a good time. With that, everybody, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. My name is Bunny Sugars, and this is I Am Human, and this was Destiny K. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. See you.
See you guys soon.